Whoo! Whoo! Alright, you good? Come on in.
Yay, thank you! This will be so much fun!
Next. Whoo! Please hand me your ID and step to this scanner, please.
Okay.
Whoo! I think you're a little too short to be a celebrity there, pal. Can I get a real ID? Or am I gonna have to ask you to leave?
I'm sorry, I forgot it at home. Please let me in.
Do I have to call the police?
Man, I'm hungry. Hope the berry bucket's here at a good price.
Being a shiny hunter kinda sucks. At least when it comes to mythical Pokemon. You want this one? That hasn't been available in years. How about this one? Well, that one's only available through glitches right now. Surely I can get this one, right? Well, you can technically get the shiny for that one. It just shouldn't even exist in the first place. If you're someone who wants to catch them all, or at least a good amount of them, shiny Pokemon included, you'll undoubtedly feel some frustration when it comes to shiny mythical Pokemon. Getting one legitimately is either a limited time event, super specific, impossible, supposed to be impossible, but available in a super specific way, or you have to play Pokemon Go for it. Shiny mythical Pokemon usually have some sort of barrier to obtaining them, and today we're going to go over each one. That is, if you can even get them at all. There are a lot of shiny mythical Pokemon you just can't get right now. But something you can get right now is food delivered straight to your door with the help of today's video sponsor, Factor. I've worked with HelloFresh before, they own Factor, and this time they sent me a box for this promotion. And when I tell you that half of the meals were gone on day one, I'm not kidding. Though that's because my family stole one of them. Factor's meals are a stress-free option. No grocery store, no meal prep, no cooking, and you get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your home. There are over 35 meals to choose from each week, with box options like Keto, Calorie Smart, Vegan and Veggie, or for my fellow athletes out there, Protein Plus. On a side note, I'm getting some clean dunks now, guys. The vert's going crazy. And after a long day at the gym, Factor has me covered. A chef-prepared meal, ready to go after just 2 minutes? That'll have you back outside in no time. Might even save you enough time to find a shiny in Pokemon Go. From my box, the white cheddar chicken and the queso fundido, absolute bangers. The queso fundido actually tasted exactly like one of my favorite foods my dad makes. It's uncanny. They also sent juices in my box, and guys, how often do you see 5 ingredients that are all just juice, nothing artificial? Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code TRAILSPOKE50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code TRAILSPOKE50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month of orders. Big thanks to Factor for the great food and the sponsorship for today's video. So let's begin with the most frustrating kind of shiny mythical. The ones that don't even exist. We're not counting legendaries or sub-legendaries here. There are 23 mythical Pokemon, and 9 of those have never had the shiny available through any method or any event. And it's not even like these are just the most recent Pokemon either. Hoopa came out in 2015. Keldeo and Meloetta were revealed in 2012. And it has been nearly half of the Pokemon franchise's existence since Victini was released, and the shiny is still not available. I just know it's gonna release in Pokemon Go, man. I don't know if I can take it. But I have maybe been playing Pokemon Go recently. It's summer, what do you expect? But I would consider this to be one of the main sources of frustration when it comes to shiny mythical Pokemon, as well as a large source of the divide between fans of Pokemon Go and fans of the main series. When it comes to the main series, Arceus through BDSP and PLA, and Celebi through the Crystal Virtual Console are the only fully legitimate ways to get a shiny mythical whenever you want. Good luck getting a system with Crystal Virtual Console though, because the 3DS shop isn't available anymore. And for the main series, the last shiny mythical event distribution was for a movie. It was Celebi from Secrets of the Jungle, and that event was nearly 3 years ago. And the in-game mythical events for BDSP were about 2.5 years ago. Meanwhile, Pokemon Go has been getting frequent shiny mythical events. Some have been available in raids, leaving the potential for you getting multiple of them, but for others you've had to pay money to unlock a quest to be able to get them, and there being a price tag on that leaves a bit of a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. While you could make the argument that a shiny Pokemon is just cosmetic, it's also a completely separate Pokemon. And Pokemon are the things you compete with and battle with in the game. It's buying an extra copy of a Pokemon, giving you extra rolls for the IVs on that Pokemon, potentially making it useful in gyms or other forms of PvP. Although I don't play Pokemon Go that much. I don't know if they're banned from going in gyms or not. But I think overall, I think you could reasonably say it is a distasteful form of monetization. But not only do you have to buy these mythical quests, you have to work for these Pokemon too. Some of these quests make you catch 2,000 Pokemon, or do something else that will take a very, very long time. There was a recent quest for Shiny Celebi that you could purchase this summer, and even the most hardcore players still don't have it yet, because the quest has a baked-in 63-day period that you have to wait for your shiny mythical Pokemon. Making you have to do a ton of work for it is fine, sure, but while you're also paying for it? When we've talked about shiny mythicals on this channel, Pokemon Go has obviously been brought up, and some people in the comments have been saying they've been working on these quests for over a year. Can we just agree? That's not normal. This is a psychological experiment done by Pokemon Go in collaboration with the governments of the world. Real talk. A particular source of frustration for shiny mythicals in Pokemon Go would be Meltan and Melmetal. These are thus far Pokemon Go exclusive Pokemon, but getting their shinies is frustrating for a different reason beyond that. You can usually catch them just about whenever you want to, but they're usually shiny locked, and you have to wait for an event for them to potentially be shiny. The odds are pretty decent, but if you want both Meltan and Melmetal shiny, you might not get both. That's what happened to me this past event where shiny Meltan was available. So now I have to wait for the next one. Inconvenient for sure, but I guess this is actually the most reasonable shiny mythical for Pokemon Go, since you're still able to do it while you're sitting at home, and you don't have to spend money on it.
My money! Squidward!
But something I personally found funny when it comes to the main series versus Pokemon Go discourse when it comes to shiny mythicals here, is that while Pokemon Go has been getting way more intended shiny mythical access, almost every shiny mythical that's been available in Pokemon Go is available in the main series through some method. Of course, except for Meltan and Melmetal. There are only a couple that are fully intended to be available, but depending on how much you want your shiny mythicals, there are ways you can get them. Let's start with Mew. Shiny Mew in Pokemon Go is available from a paid research event quest, and there's been a few chances to be able to get it by now. Meanwhile, in the main series, the most recent intended way you would be able to get a shiny Mew is in Pokemon Emerald, and the event for it was only released in Japan for about a month. But with the power of glitches, we can still get our hands on a shiny Mew from this event. Technically, other language versions of the game are still allowed to transfer, but Japanese is the most legit. There's another shiny Mew that you're allowed to transfer up to the more recent games, but it's technically not legit. There was an in-life event for the Gen 1 Virtual Console games that I definitely went to myself, and it just so happened to give me, and a lot of other Pokemon fans on the internet, a shiny Mew. Even though the IVs of the event should not have allowed that to be possible. But with the power of Generation 1 having absolutely no glitches, a lot of us have been able to make a copy of this Mew and make it shiny, and able to transfer up to the later games. Technically not legit, but passable. Next up, Celebi, available through paid research event quests in Pokemon Go. But an actually intended way to get one still is from Pokemon Crystal VC. Beat the game, get the GS Ball, give it to Kurt, the ball expert, and you'll be able to summon Celebi to the Ilex Forest. And this Celebi can be shiny, at the original odds of 1 in 8192, so it'll probably take a while. You can also just use the coin case glitch in Gold and Silver to break the game entirely and force it to give you a shiny Celebi. And for some reason, these are just allowed to transfer. As long as everything else is correct about it, it doesn't even have to be originally from Crystal. There was also an event for it back in Pokemon Sword and Shield, but I would like to remind the people of the internet that limited time events are, oddly enough, only available for a limited time. Jirachi, available through paid event quests in Pokemon Go, but in the main series you can indefinitely shiny hunt it through Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon Channel event discs that are entirely too expensive. These actually weren't intended for you to be able to get a shiny from them, and shinies being possible are just the result of failed shiny locks for the events. Even if you couldn't still get a shiny Jirachi from these discs, Pokemon Emerald is a bug-free game, and you can get it in a totally intended way. Deoxys event raids in Pokemon Go, which is additionally frustrating in its own way, as you can't change the forms of Deoxys in Pokemon Go, so you have to catch each one and get each one shiny if you want all of them. And in the main series, the only intended way for you to potentially be able to get a shiny Deoxys is from events in Gen 3. Events which you'd probably be able to guess that we're able to access through the power of glitches in these games. Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald can all get access to it, but technically Japanese Emerald Deoxys shouldn't be possible, but it'll still transfer. But that's the only way to hunt Deoxys in any main series game, so we'd probably have to give a win to Pokemon Go on this one. But don't worry main series fans, Pokemon Go has nothing on us in Gen 4. Phione, Manaphy, and Arceus at the time of recording are all completely unavailable in Pokemon Go, whether they're shiny or not. Phione is the easiest of the bunch, or any mythical really, as all you have to do is breed Manaphy, and this can be done with the Masuda method and the Shiny Charm for very good odds. But, you know, the stats are terrible by legendary and mythical standards. Manaphy has pretty normal mythical stats, but with one of the most broken moves of all time. And it's only not notable because it's only been on Pokemon that aren't good or have been banned from competitions. To get a shiny Manaphy legitimately is excruciating. Get a Pokemon Ranger Manaphy egg, trade it to a different save file than the one that received it, and then hatch it over and over again on different save files until it ends up shiny. Alternatively, in a previous video I went over a glitch that allows you to get a shiny Manaphy quite easily, and if you want you can use that glitch in a very different way to still have to hatch this shiny Manaphy legitimately, but to cut down on the time for each encounter you can randomize your trainer ID and secret ID while on the same system, so you don't have to reset the game and play through the intro a bunch, making each reset much faster. This has already been done by a few people so far, and in my opinion it's definitely a great way to shorten the hunt, but doesn't take away all of the authenticity of it. And then we have Arceus. The shiny has only recently become available legitimately, and if in the event Pokemon Bank and Transporter shut down, this would be the only intended method to obtaining a shiny mythical whenever you want. You'll just have to buy BDSP and PLA to do it, and beat the entirety of PLA and become the champion in BDSP. It might take a while, but you would be able to do this as many times as you want, and this method should be safe for the foreseeable future. And now for Darkrai. Darkrai in Pokemon Go has been available in raid battles previously, and in the main series, the shiny has only been available a couple times. Thankfully, one of these instances was through an in-game event in Platinum, which made it possible for shiny Darkrai to be able to transfer upward. But getting this event to work now in Platinum would be quite tricky, but through the power of Diamond and Pearl glitches, you'd be able to catch yourself a Darkrai and change its game of origin to Platinum, allowing for a legal transfer as long as everything else about the Darkrai is correct to how it would appear in Platinum, because there are some slight differences between the Platinum one and the Diamond and Pearl one. And with Shaman, it's a similar story. In Pokemon Go, shiny Shaman has been made available through special research. And in the main series, there was an in-game event in Platinum for it as well, meaning that a shiny Shaman with its game of origin listed as Platinum would be legal and able to transfer. If you want to try any of these glitches for yourself, check out the previous videos. I'll either tell you how to do it or tell you how to find how to do it. Believe it or not, after Generation 4, there's only 3 other mythicals we can even talk about their shinies for. One of them is Genesect. It's been available in raids and research for Pokemon Go, but has basically been non-existent in the main series games. Shiny Genesect was only available once, in Japan, for a movie event. This was back in Generation 5, and the online servers for DS games were shut down a while ago. But thanks to the Poke Classic network, online servers for Pokemon live on. And one of the features of these servers is they have a large number of past event Pokemon available. And when you're playing the Gen 5 Japanese games, this would include the Shiny Genesect event. The unfortunate news for that is that you have to be playing a Japanese version for it, at least that I'm aware. But the good news on that is that the Japanese versions are usually cheaper than the English versions. And maybe more good news is playing in Japanese might actually make you think a little bit when you're playing Pokemon. Our final 2 mythicals to talk about are Diancie and Zeraora. Diancie received 2 shiny events, but were in-life distributions in Japan and South Korea, and Zeraora was a global Pokemon home distribution that lasted for a week. So outside of using PK Hex or PKSM to inject the event into your game, I don't really see a way of currently being able to obtain these shiny Pokemon legitimately or otherwise. Through many of my recent videos, I've previously been making the effort to get as many of the shiny mythicals and legendaries as I could from previous generations. And I find it pretty sad that for mythicals, that quest is already almost done. Diancie and Zeraora are the only ones I'm unsure of how I would be able to get, and I would just need one more Meltan to evolve into Melmetal. And many of my shinies were either glitched or RNG manipulated, so perhaps I could go back and actually hunt some of them that are available. But really I only need those 3, and I would have everything that's available for shiny mythicals. I still have quite a bit of work to do on the legendaries, so perhaps that's a quest I'll embark on soon. And hopefully I can get to work on that while I get some of these other massive projects done. But for now, we'll just have to wait and see if we'll get any events for these shiny mythicals, and hopefully some of these unreleased or otherwise frustrating shinies will finally be available. And hopefully they're not only available in Pokemon Go.
Exactly, get out! Oh, get out!
I think that's good.
Who's I did?
Ah!